Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Blue Dugout Podcast. Today we are talking Dodgers and Rockies. What a series for the Dodgers this was. Great way to come back after a lost series against the Cubs, unfortunately, but we got this one in the bag. Went after a team that just didn't have the best pitching in this matchup, and we capitalized on it. We scored runs, we got base hits. Guys, bats started coming alive. The bats in general throughout the whole lineup came alive. So let's jump into game one. We've got the starting nine, Ohtani at the top, DH. Betts at shortstop. We got Freeman at first base, Will Smith behind the plate, Michael Conforto in left field, Tommy Edman in center field, Max Muncy in third base, Kike Hernandez at second base, and Andy Pages in right field. So unfortunately for this game, Teoscar Hernandez comes down with the stomach bug and misses this start and game two start in this series. Looks like that thing's been going around. It started off with Mookie Betts in Tokyo. Then it went over to Kike Hernandez, who had it when we came back over here. Now it looks like Teoscar Hernandez is having the same issue. So it looks like he has to miss a game. On the bump for the Dodgers, we got Dustin May. Mayday back on the mound. He is doing a great job to start this season off. In his last three starts, he's only allowed 2 earned runs, and he starts this game with a .82 ERA. What a phenomenal game from Dustin May. Once again, great pitcher in general, a guy that can really do a good job of spotting pitches, has some of the nastiest movements. We have that sinker that runs literally, once again, in that fastball tunnel, and then ends up on the inside of the plate, or we even have his slider. Fastball tunnel ends up on the way outside of the plate. So that guy just been doing a phenomenal job in the 2025 season. So a pretty key moment I want to point out in this game is at the top of the fourth inning where Dustin May faces Nick Martini, who, by the way, does a phenomenal job in this series, gets a couple of hits, starts that inning off with a double, but Dustin May, being the guy that he is, being the dog that he is, follows that up with 3 following outs after that, even following that up with a strikeout, showing some great emotion in that strikeout as well, showing that he's pumped, ready to go. At the end of Dustin May's game today, he is at 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 7 strikeouts. That now brings his ERA to 1.06. So once again, Dustin May doing a very good job in this start of the 2025 season. We're talking about a guy, once again, who hasn't been in baseball for almost 2 years, comes up against the Braves, lights out. An okay start in Washington, not the worst start, right? But just not the best start of his career. And then comes back against game 1 of Colorado and just gives a lights out performance. What a job from Dustin May. Hats off to you, Dustin May. Once again, have a night. He goes up against Antonio Senzatella of the Rockies. Now, unfortunately, this guy's not having the best start of his season. He's at a 0-3 record. He finishes the game at 4.1 inning pitched, 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 K, and now brings his ERA to 5.89. So, of course, like I was saying, the Dodgers just showing a lot of life in this game, right? We got Shohei Ohtani leading it off, and he gets a nice single to right field, then followed up by a big Mookie Betts bomb to left field. I'm talking an absolute shot. That ball's up, that ball's back, that ball's fair, that ball is out of here. Mookie Betts doing a phenomenal job of taking advantage of a base runner on, getting a nice pitch, getting his pitch, and putting it deep into left field. Hats off to you, Mookie Betts. What a job for these guys in game 1 of this series against the Rockies. Once again, going up against the weak link of the National League, taking advantage of the fact that they don't have the best pitching on that team. We even have a guy like Max Muncy. One of the first at-bats that he has, he unfortunately takes a ball and gets hit by it, but of course he's trying to get on base. At this point, it looks like Max Muncy is really trying his best. He's giving it his all to try to get on base, right? We rewind back to the Atlanta Braves series, where in that last game, in his first couple at-bats, he tried the torpedo bat, thinking it may have worked for him. The Yankees putting up 15 home runs in a matter of 3 games shows that maybe it'll work for us. But it didn't until he made that adjustment, hit that double. Of course, that was a great game from him. It doesn't always have to be getting these big old hits, these home runs. He's at least showing that he wants to make some improvement with his on-base percentage, wanting to get on base some way, somehow, being productive, right? That's what you want to be in the lineup, getting your job done, whether it be moving a guy over, getting yourself out, or whether it be being a productive out, as they call it, right? You want to give yourself an opportunity to get an at-bat and maybe even get a hit, but it's baseball at the end of the day. You're not always going to get that result. So once again, hats off to you, Max Muncy, for some improvement in this game. One negative that I can point out from this game, and to be honest with you, this is probably the only negative I have. Michael Conforto, unfortunately, just not showing some life right now, and he's been a little cold to start off the season, right? We're rewind back to spring training. Dude was looking great. They were even projecting him to have a Teoscar Hernandez season that Teoscar had in 2024. To start the spring training off, right, he wasn't too bad getting a couple of home runs, but now in the start of the actual 2025 season, just hasn't been showing some life. Unfortunately, he grounds into 2 inning-ending double plays in this game that, unfortunately are kind of, momentum deflators at the end of the day. You got guys on base, base, even in scoring position, but unfortunately just giving up these little weak ground balls to get double plays is not going to get the job done. So really, that's my only negative of this first game. Destimé once again does a great job to finish that game off. We take that first game 5-3. So Dodgers looking like they're showing some life, looking like they're really coming alive in this first game and showing the fact that they want to go after this series a lot more intensely than they did the last two, right? The last two in Washington and then followed up back in LA with Cubs. Just wasn't the best performance from the Dodgers, but they're really starting to show the fact that they can turn things around. Then, of course, it is the beginning of the season. We just need a little bit of time to get going. So that wraps up game one. Let's jump into game two now, where it lands on my favorite day personally in the major leagues, Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th. Every single year, every player on the field wears 42 to show that we are all the same despite the color of our skin. We're out there to play baseball at our fullest. So we've got the starting nine for the Dodgers in this one. Ohtani, of course, at the top at DH. That's at shortstop, Freddie Freeman at first base, Will Smith behind the plate. We got Michael Conforto in left field, and we got Tommy Edman at second base, Max Muncy at third base. Chris Taylor comes into this game at center field. He shows some improvement in this game as well. Chris Taylor doing a great job in this game. You got Andy Paez in right field once again. Teoscar Hernandez catching that stomach bug and has to miss another game because of it. So Andy Paez stepping up to the plate and helping him out in right field. So on the bump for the Dodgers, we've got Landon Knack. Now Landon Knack, of course, comes into this game and not off the best start in Washington, right? Gave up some pretty big hits, gave up a couple of hits, couple of home runs. In fact, 5 earned runs in that game. But in this game, wasn't too bad. He stayed pretty good, got all the way to the 4th inning until unfortunately he left a pitch up for Jacob Stallings to hit a double. These guys are major league ball players, right? The Rockies aren't the best team. However, they are a major league team, meaning if you make a mistake like this, they will jump on it. Landon Knack leaving the ball too high for this guy, and he puts the ball in the left field and is up scoring 2. He finishes this game at 4.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. So that shows an improvement from last start in Washington, right? He had 5 earned runs to now only going down to 2 earned runs. He is still a beginner in the major leagues. He's not in his rookie season, right? That was in 2024, but he's definitely not in his 5th, 6th season. He still needs some time to adjust, still needs some time to get to, a feel for his pitches. So Landon Knack, great job for an improvement. However, not the best start still. We need some work on that, right? He goes up against Ryan Feltner. Now, Ryan Feltner, unfortunately, just isn't having the best start for the Rockies. He has a record right now of 0-1. Now, the Dodgers jump all over that, right? We go to the bottom of the 3rd inning where we end up batting all the way around the lineup. We start off with a Shohei Ohtani walk, and that follows up by a Freddie Freeman walk to then leading to none other than the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith, coming up with a 2-run bomb. That ball's up, that ball's back, that ball's fair, that ball is out of here. Will Smith putting the Dodgers on his back with this one and getting the Dodgers ahead 4-0. So great job from Will Smith. We draw first blood in this one, and we take advantage of it right there because it doesn't end there. Tommy Edman follows it up with another double, and Max Muncy once again showing some improvement. He gets a walk off of this at bat, and he does a great job of being patient, getting on base any which way we can. And then we have none other than the man who came out of nowhere, Chris Taylor, shows a hit and gets an RBI out of it, gets a nice solid single to the left side and puts in Tommy Edman for a score now of 5-0. So here we are starting off early once again, getting hot and staying hot. We bat all the way through the lineup until unfortunately Shohei Ohtani makes the 3rd out, but getting 2 at-bats in 1 inning, that is a huge momentum builder, of course, to show that we're coming out of the gates hot. We show that we're not here to mess around. We want to play. And also, although we didn't score much after this, right, we still end up keeping them at bay at only 2 runs. The Rockies being a team that showed us in game 3 that they're not out of it until they're out of it, right? That could have been, a different outcome. Those 2 runs that the Rockies got a little bit later could have ended up being a little bit more. But I'm glad that our bullpen was able to come in and shut the door and keep the door shut to make sure that they do not come back at all. Great job to the bullpen tonight. That was another positive. We all know that the Dodgers have a very strong bullpen. They have since the 2024 season. They showed it a lot in the postseason then, and they're showing it in the beginning half of this season. Although they've had a couple of rocky games, the bullpen is actually not doing too bad in terms of making sure that these guys do not put too many more runs up on the board, keeping the runs at bay. Hats off to Dreyer, Yates, and Vesia once again for a phenomenal relief. So the Dodgers take that one 6-2, winning the series with this one. And so that's a great way to come off, of course, of a series loss, right? We ended up losing pretty bad to the Cubs, only scoring 5 runs in that series, to now already in game 2 of this series having a total of 11 runs. So shows some improvement, right? It shows the fact that we are now getting the bats hot. Yes, once again, it is the weak link of the National League, but that's where we really need to capitalize on it. We do not let a team like this come into our house and start thinking that they can beat us. We need to make sure that we keep our foot on their necks and make sure they do not get up at all. So that wraps up game 2. We take the win over the Rockies, and that leads into game 3, where we have none other than Bobby Miller on the mound. Bobby Miller makes his 2025 debut. We can rewind back to the 2025 Cactus League in spring training, where Bobby Miller was on the mound and unfortunately takes this big line drive to the head. That kind of took him out of contention for the 5th spot in the rotation. Didn't have the best start in spring training as well. Unfortunately got optioned to AAA, where he joined Oklahoma City until they called him up for game 3 of the Colorado Rockies series, where he comes in. Obviously no line, no previous games in terms of the 2025 season, at least in the major leagues, but unfortunately only goes 3 innings pitched in this game. He gives up 6 earned runs, has 1 walk, however, has 7 strikeouts. Not bad, but starts this season off at an 18.00 ERA. Unfortunately, Bobby Miller just really not having it in this game. Looks like he's not having it from this season as well. I mean, we rewind back to 2024, where he showed some life in a couple of games. He had a couple of good starts and wasn't looking too bad through a good amount of the season. Unfortunately, got sent down in the middle of that season. And then we fast forward to 2025, where he has this option to potentially be the 5th starter. Didn't suffer any injuries from that line drive. However, looks like it did do something in terms of maybe knocking some screws loose, because unfortunately in 3 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, that's obviously not the best. And starting this season off with an 18.00 ERA, man, not looking too good for Bobby Miller. In the starting 9 for this one, we've got Ohtani up at the top DH, Betts at shortstop, Freddie Freeman at first base. Teoscar Hernandez makes his return. It looks like he's feeling a little better, so he's back in right field. Michael Conforto in left field. Tommy Edman at second base. Max Muncy at third base. Andy Pages in center field, and Austin Barnes is actually behind the plate for this game. Now, he even shows some improvement, right? Austin Barnes, a guy who's known to be a little bit more of a defensive catcher as opposed to an offensive catcher, comes in this game and shows some life. In fact, gets a hit and an RBI. So hats off to you, Austin Barnes, for a good game as well. On the mound for the Rockies, we've got German Marquez. Now, if you guys thought Bobby Miller had a pretty rough start to this game, German Marquez unfortunately doesn't even make it through the first inning. He only has 0.2 innings pitched. We can remember this first inning where everything just came undone in terms of German Marquez. Shohei Ohtani leads it off with an absolute shot to right field. Damn near makes it over the seats into the standing area of the right field pavilion. That ball's up, that ball's back, that ball's fair, and that ball is clearly out of here. Shohei Ohtani with an absolute shot to right field. It doesn't end there. Followed up by another Freddie Freeman home run. Freddie Freeman putting this ball into right field. In fact, pretty damn close to where he put that walk-off in game 1 of the World Series, that iconic walk-off that we will never forget. Freddie Freeman, hats off to you. It's then followed up by a couple more base runners, right? Tommy Edman taking one for the team. Max Muncy, once again, showing that he has some improvement. He actually is patient in this one as well, and looks like he walks in this at-bat, bringing up Andy Pages. Andy Pages, he's not the best right now in terms of his offense, but he comes up this at-bat and gets a nice single to the left side. That is Dodger baseball right there. Came out of the gates hot. The bats got hot right away. Did not even give them a chance to get through the first inning. One thing that I can point out as a positive for the Dodgers throughout this whole series was the fact that they got into the bullpen early for the Rockies. That is one thing as a team in baseball that you would love to do, is not let that starting pitcher get anything past, an inning. The fact that he only got through 0.2 of an inning is phenomenal for the Dodgers, obviously. I mean, the fact that they got into their bullpen early. Now, this is a little bit of a negative for me, because once again, 7 runs in the first inning, and that's kind of it for a little bit, right? We don't really do much for the next couple of innings, and in fact, until we get to the top half of this 3rd inning, and unfortunately, this is where it gets really bad for Bobby Miller. He gives up a Sean Borchard single, followed up by a Kyle Farmer single, then Hunter Goodman walks. Now that means bases loaded. This is not any way to be starting an inning. This is not looking good for Bobby Miller, and the Rockies make him pay for it. Michael Toglia, the first baseman for the Rockies, comes up and puts an absolute shot in a center field, over the center field wall, and this is now a 7-5 ball game. And this gets even worse. Bobby Miller then follows up giving up another home run to Mickey Moniak, now making it 7-6 Dodgers. That is obviously the scariest thing in the world. When I saw that, I definitely thought we were going to lose the game. I thought that was it. We weren't going to get the sweep. I mean, thank God we got the sweep, but Bobby Miller, once again, just not having a great start, giving up a run in the first inning, going well in the second, and then unfortunately in the third, just lets everything come undone, just opens up the floodgates for the Rockies to potentially come back in this game. I mean, now we only have a one-run ball game very early on. So a negative I can bring out in this game is, of course, like I just said, if you get into the bullpen early, this is going to hurt your pitchers, and unfortunately, you're going to now start having to use more arms. We have 4 relievers for the Dodgers that come in this game. Anthony Banda, Ben Casperius, Alex Vesia, and then our closer from San Diego, Tanner Scott, who ends up closing the door, doesn't allow them to come back in this game, allows the Dodgers to get the sweep, and that concludes Game 3. We get the win. 8-7. Barely get that win. We had a very big first inning. We go cold for a little bit. We follow that up with the bottom of the 5th inning where Andy Baez gets another RBI. He gets a single. He's showing some life. Hats off to you, Andy Baez, for a great night. The negative in this game, obviously, is that Bobby Miller just not having a very, very good start. Landon Knack, of course, not having a great start in Game 2, so both of those guys get sent down now to AAA, but they can kind of prove themselves, right? They can have some more opportunities to make the adjustments, get a little bit better feel for their pitches. And the Rockies are not the best team in Major League Baseball, but they're a Major League Baseball team, meaning if we give them any type of opportunities, if we give them any type of, high pitches in their sweet spots, pitches right over the heart of the plate, they will take advantage of it, just like they did in that big inning that they had against Miller. Another negative, if these guys are going to come back and score and stay right on our butts, we got to keep scoring after that, right? We cannot try to win by a 1-run lead. We have that 1-run lead. I'll take a win. A win is a win. They're going to score 7. Let's put up another 5-6 runs, so that way we have insurance runs just in case they would have came back in that game. You would have lost it, but we end up pulling through, getting the win. Great job from the Dodgers for getting the bats alive. Phenomenal job from guys like Max Muncy and Andy Baez showing some improvement. We're on the road for a little bit. We're now in Texas, where we have our Japanese sensation, the man who has been having such a phenomenal start to the 2025 season, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, taking on a very good pitcher in himself, Jacob deGrom. They both face off in Game 1, which will take place Friday. Probably by the time this video hits YouTube again, that game will have already taken place. But we look forward to another series. Let's see if we can get a sweep, maybe even on the road, and it'll give us some more momentum to then come back to Dodger Stadium, continue the win streak. Right now, we're at a total of 3 wins. Let's get the 4th one. Let's make sure of, once again, keeping the bats hot, making plays. I have faith in our guy, Yamamoto. He has been doing, once again, such a great job throughout this season, and I hope he stays lights out through. So that concludes tonight's episode of the Blue Dugout Podcast. Make sure to give a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. This is Chris Pacheco wishing you a very pleasant afternoon, wherever you may be.